All right, today we're going to dive into two of the most fundamental ideas in the early Buddhist teachings, consciousness and wisdom. Now, they might sound kind of similar, but getting the difference between just knowing something and truly understanding it, well, that's the key to a massive shift in how you experience everything. So, let's get into it. You know, it's that question we all bump into at some point, right? This feeling of a solid, stable me that's always there in the driver's seat. But if you actually try to grab it, to pin it down, what is it? The Pali teachings give us an amazing way to look into this, not as some dusty philosophical problem, but as something we can investigate for ourselves right now.
So, where do we even start? Well, the answer begins with this kind of intimidating Pali term, Panchupadanakandaza. It basically means the 5 clinging aggregates. The core idea here is really profound. What we call our self isn't one solid thing at all. It's more like a dynamic bundle of 5 separate, always changing processes that we grab onto and say, that's me. So what are these 5 parts that make up the me show? First, you've got rupa. That's just your physical body. Then there's vedana, which is the raw feeling of an experience. Pleasant, unpleasant, or just neutral. Next up is sanya, or perception. This is the part that recognizes and slaps a label on everything. After that, we have sankhara, our mental formations, all our intentions, habits, and reactions. And last but not least, we have vijnana, consciousness, the simple act of knowing. And here's the crucial bit, consciousness is just one piece of the pie, not the whole thing.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that last one, vijnana. You can think of it as the engine, It's the spark that kicks off the whole process of experience, from one moment to the next.
So what exactly is this consciousness, this vijnana? It's not some big, mystical, cosmic awareness. It's actually way, way simpler than that. It's just the raw, basic knowing that pops up whenever a sense organ, like your eye, makes contact with a sense object, like a color. It's just the bare-bones awareness that, yup, something is there. That's it. And this line from the text just nails it. It shows that consciousness isn't some independent soul floating around. It's totally conditional. I consciousness only arises when an I and a form come together. No I, no form, no I consciousness. It's the same for hearing, smelling, all of it. It's a fleeting event, not a permanent me.
Now this is where it gets really juicy. We can see how that tiny spark of vijnana can light a whole bonfire of emotional drama. So, contact happens, consciousness sparks up, and right away a feeling follows. If it's a pleasant feeling, craving kicks in. I want more of that. If it's unpleasant, aversion kicks in. Get it away from me. And that automatic reaction, that craving, is what leads to clinging and ultimately to suffering. See? Consciousness itself isn't the problem. It's the automatic follow-up that gets us tangled.
So if our default reaction to consciousness just leads to getting tangled up, what's the way out? What's the alternative? This is where our second key concept comes into play. And it's not about gathering more facts or information. It's about cultivating a totally different way of seeing.
And that alternative is something called Ñāṇa, which we can translate as knowledge or wisdom. But let's be super clear. We're not talking about book smarts or trivia here. Ñāṇa is a direct, penetrating insight. It's the kind of seeing that understands the real nature of those 5 aggregates we mentioned. Seeing for yourself, in your own experience, that they're all changing, they're unreliable, and they're definitely not a solid self.
So let's put them side by side to make it really clear. Vijnana, consciousness, simply registers what's happening, seeing, hearing. But Ñāṇa, wisdom, actually understands the nature of that experience. Vijnana is a flash in the pan, gone in an instant. Ñāṇa is a stable, deep understanding that you build over time. And here's the bottom line. Vijnana, when it gets tangled up with craving, is what binds us. Ñāṇa is what sets us free.
This classic question from the texts really gets to the heart of what Ñāṇa sees. It's like wisdom itself is looking at our body, our feelings, our thoughts, even our consciousness, and asking this really pointed question. Hey, given that all this stuff is constantly changing, unreliable, and stressful, does it make any sense at all to point to it and say, this is me, this is mine, this is myself? And wisdom's answer is a clear, resounding, and very freeing, nope.
Okay, so this liberating wisdom, it sounds amazing, right? But how in the world do you actually get it? It's not something that just falls out of the sky. It requires building a really specific foundation right inside your own mind.
That foundation, the launch pad for all of this, is something called samadhi, or concentration. This is the actual practice of training the mind to be steady, to be unified, to be collected. Think about it. A mind that's scattered and jumping all over the place can't see anything clearly. Samadhi is what creates that internal stillness that you need for the deep insights of Ñāṇa to actually surface.
And the classic path for building this kind of mental muscle is through the jhanas. These are deep states of meditative absorption. It's a systematic process. You start by just letting go of distractions until you find this real sense of joy. Then, you even let go of the busy thinking mind, which makes that joy even deeper, more like a profound peace. From there, you settle into this incredible, unshakable peacefulness, or equanimity. Each step makes the mind a sharper, more powerful tool for seeing reality as it is.
Yeah, the still water metaphor is just perfect for this. If your mind is all choppy and turbulent, like a stirred-up pond, any reflection is going to be distorted and messy. But when you develop samadhi, the mind becomes like a perfectly still, clear lake. And only then can it reflect reality, the true nature of things, with perfect clarity.
So, you've done the work. You've prepared the mind with concentration. You've used that stability to develop wisdom. So what's the payoff? What's the fruit of all this effort of seeing things as they really are? The payoff is huge. What happens is that wisdom starts to pull out the weeds, the deep-rooted mental toxins that poison our lives, what are called the defilements. This deep seeing, this Ñāṇa, is like a powerful antidote. It sees through the illusions that fuel greed and aversion. It cuts right through that fundamental ignorance about who we are, and it just dismantles things like pride and all our rigid wrong views.
And when these defilements are completely gone, that state has a name, vimutti. This is the goal. It's liberation, release, total freedom. And it's not some place you go after you die. It's a state of being, an unshakable peace of mind that comes from no longer being jerked around by greed, hatred, and delusion.
And this is really the whole game right here. The path isn't about trying to control the world so that your consciousness only ever registers pleasant things. I mean, let's be honest, that's an impossible task. True freedom is a radical turn inward. It's about using wisdom to see the nature of wanting itself so clearly that you're finally released from its grip.
And that's where we'll leave it. The entire path really just boils down to seeing things clearly. So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. If seeing the true nature of things is what leads to freedom, what is one experience, one thought, or one feeling in your life that you could try to look at with just a little more clarity today? Thanks for tuning in.